Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PSG of Mercer County. The Professional Service Group of Mercer County is a group that is here for you, anybody that is, of course, in any career transition. And in addition, happy Aloha Friday. So meeting a few people. Yay! And Bart has his Australia tie on, so Hawaii's kind of halfway in between, I suppose. Probably waving to the people as you flew over. So for those of you who are meeting for the first time, wondering why this serious job hunting guy is wearing an Aloha shirt, first of all, I am not serious. And second, Aloha Friday is kind of casual Friday in Hawaii, and just something I picked up years ago, and I continue to do. But yeah, certainly business casual that we're all wearing is very appropriate. In addition, today is National Tortilla Chip Day. Oh. So if you did not know why there are so many people who took the day off today, that's probably the reason why. National Tortilla Chip Day. So it celebrates, of course, that crunchy chip that we use for all sorts of reasons. It got a lot of use last week during the football, the Super Bowl. So happy National Tortilla Chip Day. So maybe you'll want to celebrate a little bit later. And but now down to the little bit more serious stuff. So PSG of Mercer County, of course, is here to help you be more efficient and effective with your own job search. And we do try to provide a number of resources for you. Of course, we are here just about every Friday morning to have a topical presentation. I'll introduce Bart in just a moment. And in addition, we do have some online resources available directly from us. We do have our LinkedIn group. So as a job seeker, hopefully you are on LinkedIn, have a profile that's there, and using it to get in touch with other people and do your own research. We have a group. It is called PSG of Mercer County. So go look for the group, join the group, and then you can be in touch with over 1,700 members that are in our group. And those are people that are all who have all been through our job search program at least once. So one of the things you'll see when you join the group, you will be in pending mode or pending status. And the reason why is during the week we do check to see who is requested and then check against our attendance as well. We are looking for members in our LinkedIn group that have been to one of our meetings here, either in person or virtually. We're trying to keep the salespeople out that are, not that we don't like salespeople, but are only in it for their own benefit. They're trying to sell to another group. Or list collectors. We're trying to keep them out. We have over 1,700 members in our LinkedIn group. They have all been to at least one of our meetings. So there's a good chance that as you reach out to people in our group during your job search, there's a good chance that they will respond to you. Some people complain that some people on LinkedIn don't respond. Well, that happens. There's a good chance the people in our group will, so hopefully they can be a help. Or post some information or introduce yourself or do anything like that related to our mission. Don't sell your boat. That's probably not what our LinkedIn group is for, if you have an old boat. But anything for job search, it is fine. In addition, we do have our website. Our website is psgofmercercounty.org. psgofmercercounty.org. It is more than just a landing page for our site. It is, or more than a landing page for our group. It is over 120 web pages of content. There's a tremendous amount of information on our website. We do have a menu across the top. One of the menu items is called Resources. And when you open that up, you'll see a bunch of icons that each link to different resources. There are 48 different resource websites that are there. There are other job support networking groups similar to this, so you may want to find another group to meet people that way. There are 32 other career resources. They include state agencies, career coaches, and the like, so if you're looking for any sort of help that way. And then even what we added not long ago was one link for a mental health site and another link for a personal wellness site. So if those are things that are important to you or people you know, we put those links there. None of that is the be-all, end-all of any of those topics, but it may be a good way for you to get started if you're looking for additional resources. So go check out our website. Hopefully it'll be a good help to you. For our ground rules today, one thing I mentioned at the start, we do not have a presentation today. There will not be a slideshow. So one thing I would suggest, somewhere on your LinkedIn, on your GoToMeeting, for those of you virtually, you may see a little drop-down menu near the top that says, likely it says everyone, and you're seeing everyone's picture right now. You can click on that, it will drop down, you'll have another choice. you may want to change it to this PC, which I can't see the name. I think it's Princeton Library or PPL, the one that Bart will be presenting. Therefore, remotely, your experience will be a full screen of Bart. We're not sharing a screen or a presentation, so you don't need to look for that. If you prefer to look at the other people that are there, then use one of the other settings like active cameras or everyone, and that's fine. And for asking questions, you have a couple of options. Well, clearly, those of you in the room, just raise your hand, and Bart will be here and ask you for your question. But because we do have a virtual audience as well, we'll ask you to come up and just ask your question into the microphone so it's in the whole audio system. And when you use the microphone, do use it a bit like a rock star. You keep it right up against you. Some people are a little afraid of a microphone. It's not that sensitive, and if you're not close to it, the people remotely won't hear you well. So just keep that in mind. If you see me dancing in the back or doing something like this, it's not get an ice cream cone. It really means get a little closer to the microphone so everyone can hear you. And for those of you virtually, you can quickly unmute yourself and just say, "Excuse me, Bart, I have a question." Or if you'd like, you can type your question in the chat. Alan and I will be monitoring that, and so we'll just speak the question on your behalf. If you do have a question, type the word question, or type the word question with your question after it, and we'll read it out loud. If you type the word question, we'll just let you know it's time to unmute. But like I said, we're not a very large group. If you want to quickly unmute, that's fine, ask your question. But until then, do keep your microphones on mute so that there's no accidental background noise. Of course, those of you here, you don't have microphones, so don't worry about that. We'll take care of it. All right, so we are ready. PSG of Mercer County is pleased to welcome Bart Jackson. Bart Jackson serves as the CEO of Prometheus Publishing and Bart Books Unlimited Business Guides. For the last 8 years, Bart has hosted the Art of CEO radio show. He is the founder of the Prometheus Social Enterprise Awards, bringing the most inventive social contributors to light. His books include The Art of the CEO, Behind Every Successful Woman is Herself. So that's how they do it, Tactics of Business Masters. In the words of my wife's husband, the last edition of CEO of Yourself, Getting Down to the Business of Your More Rewarding Life, has become a worldwide bestseller. Bart's Business Quips newsletter and weekly work wit add a little much-needed laughter to our workaday lives. Previously, Bart founded Biz4NJ, an online business journal, and spent decades as a globe-trotting journalist, carting his pen and curiosity through over 80 countries, drumming up about 150 new writing jobs every year. His most prized writings are his poems, penned to his wife Lorraine, which are published on the north wall of their home in Cranberry, New Jersey. To learn more, you can visit bartbooks.com. So PSG of Mercer County is very pleased to welcome Lorraine's husband, Bart Jackson. Thank you, Bart.
Thank you very much, Dave. I'm really glad that you say you're not serious because, you know, seriousness is an attempt to banish joy in hopes of gaining focus. But the trouble is that being serious is like old scotch. It's highly overrated. So I don't know how many of you are, but I am truly boggled by what's going on in the business community today. I mean, I told my wife that I needed a vehicle that reflected the prestige and forward drive of my career. So for Christmas, she got me a treadmill. And what I don't understand is all this stuff with treadmills. Since 1960, and Peter Drucker, managerial people, have been trying desperately to get people off of treadmills. Now science, and we all know that science is always right, it's as absolute as social media. Science assures us that the best possible productive working position is to plod along on a treadmill at your desk. I'd like all of you teleconferencers out there, I'd like all of you to raise your favorite appendage and wave it around, and if you are on one of those walking treadmill desks, you know, I can almost see the breeze from here. Anyway, the deal is it is strange, and things are changing. 15 years ago, there was a marvelous book called How to Make Money in Your Underwear. And it was about e-commercing and that sort of thing. Now we're having trouble getting people to put their pants back on. and go and meet each other face to face. And so this is the way that you normally do this. And, you know, so we meet people face to face and we say, well, all right, Henry, it's really good to see you. Of course, I've got this, I may have a text in a few minutes, which is a hell of a lot more important than you. You know, our social skills are right up there. So just to help us get to know each other a little bit more, I'm going to be chatting about post-COVID opportunities. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to get I'd like to get two people. Bruce, I'm going to seduce you if I may. Could you come up, and if you could just come up here, give us your name, and tell us 2 or 3 of your saleable skills.
Hi, this is Bruce Wentworth. I'm an IT data analyst. I'm very analytical, figure things out, and document them for my employers usually.
That's wonderful. Solutions architect. Don't go away. So, could you tell us what industries, give us a few industries that might be interested in that bundle of skills you've got?
I'm, pretty much, completely pharmaceutical is what I've been doing.
Yeah, I was that way in college.
Clinical
too.
research.
It was some of my best years that I've forgotten. No.
Clinical research and manufacturing and regulatory.
And could there possibly be someplace other than that? Well, we'll talk about that later. Okay, someone else. This marvelous brunette right here.
Yes.
Yeah, her. Yeah, right. No, yes, that's right. Of course. Thank you, Dave. Right. It's
Thank you for the marvelous. Good morning. My name is Alexandra. I'm major in international business, and I'd say knowing 4 languages are my best skills. I speak Portuguese, French, English, and Spanish, and I'm a translator and interpreter as well. So, and I think I can use that in several different areas.
Give me one.
Medical.
Give me another.
It could be marketing. It could be business.
American marketing hasn't used English for years. So right.
Translating so much. We're translating so much in the internet, so there's always that need too.
All right, thank you very much. Now I'd like you to take your seats, but we're going to be calling on you again, you poor souls. And so I thought, actually, in my own case, it's really very difficult. I should tell you. My wife says I have no skills, and my board chair just gave me my annual review, and he's very multitasking. In fact, he booked his entire vacation while giving me my annual performance review. It was very lovely. But what I'd like to do now, if we could, is I'd like to plant a seed of hope with some history. In other words, I'd like to break that business cycle that the media is so intense on us embracing of depression and the sky is falling. Prove them that Chicken Little is wrong. So let's take a walk back in time. It's 1347. A ship floats into the harbor of Messina, Italy. The crew is mostly dead. Those that are remaining all have rings of red blood around their lips. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy, ashes, ashes all fall down, and Europe did. By the end of the year, all of the land of Europe was feeling the disaster of the bubonic plague. By 1370, half to a third of Europe had died under the Black Death. And by the end of the century, though, 1400, the plague had lessened. It still lingered, but the whole structure of medieval society changed drastically. What had happened? All those people who had been marginalized and shoved off into one slot from father to son, that vanished. And the serfs, which are what we call workers nowadays in red states, the serfs became valued. They experienced a wealth that they never seen before. Those who, if they stayed on the fields, they could demand a salary. If they or they could demand a piece of the action. Sharecropping began. Those who didn't flooded into the towns, and entrepreneurism of all sorts came in because everything was in demand and everybody wanted it. There was a shortage of absolutely everything, and particularly people to perform the vital functions of society. In other words, medieval society was turned on its head. The stranglehold of the church was gone. The feudal system lost its grip, and former serfs found their wages being bid up, as I've said, and those workers became something. The truth had dawned. The patriarchal, the patrician system of feudalism. The worker, the individual person became valued. People began to see what really makes things work is the individual worker. And from this dynamic and fertile soil burgeoned the Renaissance. All the new ideas that were coming forth didn't run up against old structures knocking them down, because the old structures weren't there, they'd collapsed. And the old question of what's your job trade, what's your job slot, that vanished. The new question was, it was everywhere, was what have you got and how soon can you deliver it to me? I hope some of this is seeming a bit familiar, because frankly, Scarlett, that's a lot of where we are today. I have to tell you that about 2 years ago, I recently gave a talk to this group, and it was on, ironically, COVID careers. In other words, what was available within COVID. And I have to tell you, the difference between then and now is huge. It's as vast as between Vladimir Putin and sanity. It's just immense. And but we're all post-plague, and it still lingers. But we are emerging into a drastically changed society. And for the individual, for you individual business people, it's almost all good coming out of the plague. There's a lot of silver lining here. And I'd like to give us an idea of where we are in the business community and where some of the advantages are by having you consider a few facts and a few stats. So we'll go through them quickly. First of all, the US labor pool is actually shrinking. The labor force, that is that group that they measure by everyone who's over 16 is able to work is not in the military, is not in government service, or not personally disabled. That is considered part of the labor force. There are currently 164.3 million of us in our country who are in that labor force. But the labor participation rate, that is the number of people who are out there in jobs or seeking work, that has dwindled from 64% 2 years ago to 62% now, and everyone sees that it's going to shrink all the time. So the three reasons for this: number one is sickness. So there's 1.6 million people in the U.S. are holding jobs that they cannot get to because they are sick. They have illness of some sort. It's COVID. And childcare is another thing. 8% of all the child workers have left the field. They can't find childcare. And the other thing is there are 4 million people who are employed, who have jobs, who are not attending those jobs because they are caring for someone who is sick, often a lot of the children. And then, of course, there's the big one. There's the baby boomers who are all retiring. Not everything's COVID. And the retirement rate is, anyone know what the retirement rate is? How it rose last year? It rose 13%. It's not last year, and it's going to keep that's going to keep expanding. In the face of all this dwindling number of people out for work, you have huge numbers of new jobs that are coming onto the scene. 8,500,000 jobs came into creation last year, and that doesn't even count, and that's just in 2022, and that doesn't even count all the jobs that are currently out and left unfilled. So, and what has happened? Employers have started scrabbling for a talent hunt. And when I said, not the pre-COVID talent hunt, where if you were a great techie and you could reprogram reprogram our system, so to turn us around profitably, we want you, we'll pay you anything. That was pre-COVID. Now that goes all the way down to the bottom. The guy who can carry in the computers in the box and set them in is also getting this. What happens? Wages are being bid up. Employers are bidding up wages. The average salary went up in the US, or salary payments went up 5.1% last year, and that's going to keep going. And that, by the way, it's not, oh, this political party, that political party. No. People are being paid more because they're needed more, because you're valued more. And that's gonna be barred for inflation. Unfortunately, such is life. But what all this means to everyone here is that we are entering the age of the Renaissance business person. That really should be the title of my talk, but it was sort of esoteric. In other words, you're not valued for a single job slot. You're not saying, I am an IT guy, I am a marketer. No, you are, the job slot is gone. What's being asked of you by the people who are looking at you to hire you is, Joseph, Judy, what have you got that can make me profitable? But very bald face, this is what's being, and what this means is that we as job seekers have to get out and get with this new program. I'm not being totally Pollyanna here. A lot of you who want the nice steady job slot where you can just go down and apply your trade. What is probably going to happen to you is that if you're a great website designer and you may be asked to deal in management, you may be asked to go out and work with clients, and that's all new. And and you may not like that, but this is part of the way it is. So what's required of us then? Looking at that, what should we be doing? Well, the big thing is, it's a great military term they use before they smack somebody around, attitude adjustment. And we ourselves need to make some attitude adjustments, and a couple of them I just jotted down. We need to rethink how we are going to react to the nuance of the business community. We need to just adjust our own ideas of our individual value and what we have that is valuable. And again, when the two people got up here, the first thing that came out of their head was the trained skill. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that we're going to have to start spreading our wings and seeing what we want, what we've got that's more, because it's being sought out there. And the other thing that we need some epiphanies here, and people are thinking of themselves differently. And I'm going to give you a little example here, just a personal example that I stumbled across. When I came here 2 years ago, I held up this book, CEO of Yourself, Getting Down to the Business of Your More Rewarding Life. Came out in 2018. When I came here, it was 2 years old. It was selling well. Everyone liked it. I was very happy with it. And then COVID came. And just about that time, I was asked to come up with a second edition of the book. And it had a lot of worksheet pages in it, which they wanted. There was one called a chapter that I added called The Entrepreneurial Employee, which a lot of people liked. But what happened to this book? It absolutely took off and it became a bestseller. And I would love to assure you that it truly was my deathless prose and my utterly peerless insights that made this happen. But that would be about as true as most political promises. What really made it happen was that people started thinking for themselves they weren't falling into the institutional salvations. Every institution you work with holds you out of salvation. What does business hold out? What does your nation hold out? You want to be a patriot. You want to belong. You want to be on the winning side. Now, business holds out. I'll scratch your creative itch. I'll give you wealth and security. You get the idea. Every institution holds out that salvation, and they have failed us during COVID. And people sort of saying, well, what do I want to do? And that's it. Now, and this is coming back to the idea that you have to re-envision yourself. You have to see what you want, and you have to find out what you have within you. And this isn't just cheerleading. This is something that you have to think about, because everyone is asking of the broader range that you've got, and you all do it. I mean, every single one of us has the skills. Then the other adjustment that we're going to have to make is that you're going to have to think of different ways in which you enter the labor field. There is, most will say, I want to get the job, and when I go to the thing, here's my desk and so forth. There are a million ways that we're seeing this. People who are retiring, to all kinds of contractual ideas, to put those skills to work, to find the way that the business can use what you have, use your contribution. And so when you go to when you start looking at companies, you're going to have to think about these ways. And to be fair, prosperity demands work, and freedom demands creative work. So you're going to have to work harder about thinking what you've got and how you approach people for this way. Because if you're just going to hand in the resume and hope, like a nun praying for peace in the Middle East, that probably is not going to have the effect that you're desiring. And that's all I'm saying. You have to lend a hand and think how you're going to do that. So, okay, attitudes are fine. Now, what in God's name are you supposed to be doing? I just happen to have a few action steps here, you poor unfortunate souls. So the number one is, the first one is actually financial. I think you should, all of us, since we're searching for jobs, the world has changed. What we need, there's more things out there, there's less we need. We are surrounded by stuff. There's all of this in the mix. And I think what you have to do first when you're looking for a job, you have to say, well, why am I working? And one of the reasons certainly is going to be financial. So just as a sort of way to separate all the chaff, find out sit down and say, what do I need for my minimum lifestyle? I'm budgeting this. What do I need to live on, that I and my family, and sit down, set aside some for savings, some disasters. You've got to clean up the wound when you were shot by a jealous husband, something. And then realize what that minimum lifestyle is and see what it's going to need to maintain it. I recently talked to a financial planner that I was just chatting with, and I laid out how much it was to live. I sort of did this. I ballparked. I said, it's X amount, and they said that in my case, it's my board of directors only pays me what I'm worth, and my wife keeps assuring me no one can live on that. So I have to sort of screw around. But he said, look, you're going to run out of heartbeats long before you run out of money. Odds are, if life goes well. And so he said, how much? And I was telling him, well, I want to invest in this, and I do private equity investing, and I want to put something. He said, how hard do you want to work to make more money than you need? Now, some of us are in that situation. If you're not, what do you want to live? And so I just think that's got to be the first action step, because that is going to help you cut down a whole lot of chaff. And by the way, I think when you're doing this, you're going to have to think about where you want to be, not just now, but down the line, of course. The other thing is, I need you to look at your list of assets. Every single person in this room came wriggling and screaming out of the world, clutching some fistful of talents and potential talents, things that you would bring up. And so I'm asking you to take a walk around the warehouse of yourself. Look at all those assets that you have and think, what else? What have I got? Take, for instance, what do people compliment you for? Are you the one that when they need when you need to sum up all the stuff of a meeting that they turn to, are you the one that gives a listening ear and becomes a solutions architect for helping people? Are you the one that when they just need a logical process to get through that they turn to? think about those things. And I would like to have you two, let's come up here one more time. And now, Bruce, we'll start with you. What are a couple of other assets that you think you have?
I'll be supportive.
Yes, that's right, yes.
I'll be supportive.
Rub his back. Another asset, you told us.
Skills that I have, you're saying?
In other words, what are some other assets that might bring benefit that you didn't mention first time around? Got any ideas?
So, social, I can work with teams. My background includes international teams, totally virtual during COVID, young people, old people, a mix of cultures.
Oh, all right. Okay, so you've got cultural diversity, your ability, you've worked internationally, and you've said before that you can be a solutions architect. You're the one that when people need things put together. Okay, that's something else in the mix. There's more in heaven and earth ratio to Bruce. So, all right.
I'd say that now that we're so internationally close, have lived in many different cities and countries. I lived in 3 different countries, well, US being one of them, like in Princeton, in Miami, and I lived in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, and Recife, and then in Paris, in France. And knowing more than the language, knowing also the culture. And I think like even if you put in a commercial perspective, like in a business situation, if you go to a negotiation setting, you'd see that knowing the culture of that country that you were contacting makes a whole big difference, because you know how to hold yourself, how to talk, and even like the way to approach to different situations.
So you have an expertise in approaching and seeing the people, seeing the culture within, and then seeing the individuality and finding a good way to approach them.
Yes, and trying to make those barriers, try to make those barriers that we have from different countries and different cultures to get closer and talk in the same language. So
I want to hear you
as an interpreter,
because Bruce, I can imagine Bruce at the negotiating table. Can't you see it? He has the calm confidence of a Christian with 4 aces. He would have a good idea. He would lay it out there. Yeah. So thank you both very much. You see, we all have a heck of a lot. Yes, ma'am.
And I think with diversity being on top of the topics today of many businesses and companies, that's the person that you would want. I mean, diversity is such a big deal.
Oh, yes. Actually, you're absolutely right about diversity. I always think of diversity as fishing in as many holes as possible because one is going to run dry. And that's the way business is looking at it. And yes, we live in a world of diversity, but we always did. The term normal, you know where that term came? When that term came? In about 1856, medicine started using it. And from then on, we have gotten in this cultural thing of grouping people. The more you can see people as individual, I'd rather you see me, rather than a white Anglo-Saxon old fart who used to sit over the sign that said "slow children." I'd rather you see me as Bart. And if you go, that's a long ways, but I think you're right about the diversity. Thank you very much. And so all this is leading up to the fact that you have to restructure your self-sales package. And you know they'll say, well, you could either be an employee or you can be a consultant or you can be a contractor. And no way, Jose, not today. That's as old as and holds about as much water as a 2020 alternative election outcome theory. It just ain't so. There's nothing. I would, in fact, remember how I said, please list all your assets? I would ask you to write them down. And what you need to do is picture yourself as well as a consultant. You're going for a job, so you're going for a salary job. All right, maybe, fine. Write out, but there's no reason you can't be a consultant. A friend of mine went down to Corpus Christi. He was working for one computer firm, not doing computer work, but working for them. The other competing firm saw it. They liked what he was doing so much. They said, we want to hire you at the salary. And he said, fine, I'll go salary with you. Went to the old firm and said, here's my consulting contract right here. I lay it all out. You can design any way that you want to set your work up. This is I'm going to recommend that each of you, you may turn out your resume, rather do that, but then write yourself up as a consultant, a sales pitch, and to put those skills together, then you've got something. And by the way, all this overlapping all of this of re-sculpting yourself has to be done when you're job seeking, as you well know, to employment avenues. And so I'm going to give you 3 employment avenues that I think are too often hiding in plain sight, things that don't get considered. And I'm going to give you what they are, and then I'm going to tell you how to find the groups and get into them. So some of this you may want to write down, and you can put it on paper. And if you have a wood burning stove, that's a good place to store it. So the first one is entrepreneurism is absolutely rampant in this country. And this predates COVID. The average, remember the term fast track? Remember the fast track? When I graduate, I'm going to and put my MBA, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go with a company and I will rise on the fast track until I'm a major decision maker. That's gone. People don't want to do that anymore. They get out of school, they get out of wherever they go, or at any age, and they get out of 30 years in this job, and they say, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start it. Everyone has the entrepreneurial itch. We all know that an entrepreneur is someone who thinks he could truly be successful if only he had the right boss. So I think that this is something, and just to give an example, in 2022, the U.S. launched 44,748 new business, and those are just the ones that are legal enough to pay taxes. And by the way, the pre-pandemic level was 4.4 million. And here is the advantage. By the way, the other country, the number 2 country is India, and they have 1/4 of what we do. So that just gives you an idea. But the great thing about American entrepreneurism is that it's different from most countries. When the first thing, someone comes up to you and they say, hey, I'm starting a new company. And the first question out of your mind, I'll bet you, is, oh, what did you invent? What's the new thing that you're going to foist off on the world? And this isn't so in other countries. I want to take this whole thing and I want to sell it to these people over here. That's much more of the entrepreneurial place in other countries. So what does this mean to us? Job seekers, what this means is you've got some beautiful inventive Edison who is really greatly good with his product, but there's no reason to assume, and he probably doesn't have much experience and expertise in financing, in accounting, marketing, logistics, HR, or whatever abilities that you happen to hold. And and as sure as little computer mousetraps make money, that the people who can provide that entrepreneur with that business pathway are going to ride a very fine star. And so I would like to set your fertile brain thinking about the term partnerships. And the question is, all right, so where do you find these 5 million entrepreneurs? I just happen to have a list right here. Number one, this is for around this area. NYPACE, that is the New York Professional Advisors for Community Entrepreneurs. I consult for them. They're a huge group. They have thousands of entrepreneurial companies, and they have not just those who are not just some guy sitting there tinkering in his underwear in a basement. They have all levels of startups, from very high and companies that are expanding And and if you come to them and offer your services, you can be as an advisor, or just tell them, look, find the entrepreneur there. Present yourself as someone who says, I bet you don't do your accounting very well. I bet, are you having trouble with logistics? There you go. You find them, you talk to them. Another one is the New Jersey Angels. They're run by a friend of mine, Dan Conway, and they're a long-time group. Those are people that he has gatherings where he gets entrepreneurs and funders together, and these are people who need an angel who needs a company that angels will fund, and maybe, just maybe, I'll bet 10 cents of my own money that if they had your expertise backing them, the entrepreneur would make a better pitch. So that's what you feel go to get them. Incubator groups are all over. The very best of them is the New Jersey Institute of Technology. They've got their incubator groups, their Innovation Accelerator Center. The Rutgers School of Business is good, and keep that. And the other thing you want to do is visit a venture firm. Venture capital is, they're making deals as fast as they can. What you want to do is present yourself and say, look, you're looking at businesses all over, and you want your turnaround, you want something that's going to take off, come back and return your money in 5 years. Okay, I have the marketing skills to enhance any of the people to whom you're offering money, and they become your job hunter. And that's, so where do you find venture capital firms? Good question. I have it written down here. Let me look. Oh yeah, yes, New Jersey Economic Development Authority keeps a huge list of all the venture and angel groups. Go to them and show up personally. And there's also the NVCA, the National Venture Capital Association of New Jersey. Quick thing on that, the National Venture Capital Association, and there's a New Jersey version of that too. I talked to Ted, the fellow a few years ago about venture capital. Who do you think, if a man and a woman walk in, make a pitch, how much better odds do the man have of getting having their pitch accepted than a woman? What do you think? Anyone? Any ideas? 80%. Okay. Anyone else?
50.
What's that?
50.
Absolutely. It is 50-50. The truth of it is that it's 50-50, but because the color of money sees no gender. But the truth is, women walk away with 10% of the money that men walk for. The difference is men asked for it. And if you want to know why that difference is, you can get a copy of Behind Every Successful Woman Is Herself, or who cares. Anyway, the other thing I think that you want is that when you're working with an entrepreneur, you can think about being a partner. And there's several ways to do this. You can be what I call a sweat equity angel advisor. You trade your marketing skills or your tech skills with the company, and your supply line, just a list of contacts, whatever you got, and you literally partner with you can become a sweat equity advisor and take a fee. You can literally form a partnership with the entrepreneur to say, on whatever conditional terms. We all know that a contract is a gauntlet hurled down between two lawyers to see which one can walk away with the greatest amount of the client's money. So you can do contracts. But the third thing you can do, and think about this, you can be an agent. Now this works for some things. And by that I mean, if you are saying PR or marketing, you can say it's real simple. I can do this with I can get this. I can get you 50% new markets, and I take a percentage of it, just like someone who gets jobs for an actor. Okay, what else can you peddle your unique skills? I'm running out of time, so I'll run through them quick. Law firms. And law firms what you're looking for now is professional groups that are very good at performing some a service, but again, don't have a business that connect with it. Every doctor, every dentist, every lawyer that goes through their training you know how much training they have in starting up their business and forming it? 0. And clergy, don't try to make money off of clergy. They're as cheap as my wife. Anyway, so law firms, they're terrible at marketing themselves as people as humanitarians, as people who are providing a service. Can you do that for them? Can you bring in new clients? If you can, look at the New Jersey bar. Try NJICLE. Every lawyer must do continuing legal education. They hold seminars on this, a lot of them in New Brunswick. You go there, you will meet lawyers coming in all the time, going to these legal educations. Some of them are open to the public. It's a way. Medical and dental people also need this. I have a friend, Rob Simpson, who was a very savvy gentleman. He knew business, he knew how to handle funds, knew accounting, knew a little bit about scheduling and management. He is making one of the major Princeton medical groups absolutely sing with profit, and he handles that. You can go all the way down. Another friend of mine, when she came here, she arrived from Russia. She and her husband went to doctor's offices and said, "We'll clean the doctor's office." In other words, so any level of work that you have, something they need, they don't pay attention to these things. Other groups of this, I'm just going to read you a few. Architectural firms, accounting firms. Sometimes real estate are looking for new talent. That can be sticky. But then there's the whole contracting firm. Contractors, electricians, plumbers. All these individuals are laying out money. They're doing their trade. They need somebody to handle some aspect of their business. Maybe you can do it all. That's you. And the third one, very quickly, is military. Civilian jobs are just hiding in plain sight. Things on the base, things out. Because now so much of it's in and from cleaning to accounting to, I have a friend who got a job as a pharmacist on the base. She had pharmaceutical abilities and so on and so on. So, I mean, those jobs are there. There is a website, there's several websites, but if you write the name, branch of service, Air Force, Army, Navy, and then put civilian jobs. I won't read them all off to you here, but you will find that on the websites, and you'll find there's a whole process for that. And finally, there's one other thing that we all need to talk about, and I mean, we need to sort of wrap up here. And you need to get organized and get social. We all need to get social. You want to go to Fairleigh Dickinson's Institute, Rothman Institute, and go to their family business sessions. It's a great way to both find employers and people with whom you can consult. For the financially minded, the Association of Corporate Growth, everything that deals with mergers and acquisitions, from law to marketing to you name it. Chambers, of course, is where you find a wide range of businesses that you never thought of. Who would think that you could run a business based on throwing hatchets at a wall? And the other thing is, if you don't have a group, you can start your own. A friend of mine started a business group gathering, which you can start online and went personal, on business or reviewing business books. Everyone would bring business books I read, and so it had a business thing. That's what I'm saying. But we also there's the real skill. It's coasting downhill faster than you can imagine. Bruce touched on it. We are losing the ability to socially communicate. I have a text here that's much more important than you are. So please talk to me. Good to see you, by the way, sort of. And we don't need it. We need to pull the damn phone out of our ear. We need to put the phones away. We need to. I have a terrible saying. I hope none of this will offend you, but I said my idea I think teleconferencing has its place. I think it's great, but when it comes to meeting real people, it's like holding face to face. It is like teleconferencing is like holding up a picture of a pinup girl and calling it sex. It ain't there. And I hope that you all will try to develop this skill. Use your words, real words. I mean, more than a letter or a text doc. This is something I hope for you all. And it's something that I think that you can all develop, because the world, head of PBD&O said at one time, the world belongs to the talkers. The rest of you will have to get used to it. And so, at any rate, and speaking of talking, I'd like to thank you all for sitting here and enduring this. And I went through a lot of this stuff very, very quickly. If you need any further help, my business card is there. If you want to find some of these places, or you have a particular area where you'd like to find a group of people, you just call me. My business card is back there. It just happens to be on the table by a couple of books, which are for sale. They're all $10 a piece. But I hope that all of you will get out there and find the same joy in business and working with the people in it that I have. I thank you very much.
Well, before you go, Bart, any questions either here
Yes.
or people that are virtual?
Yeah.
Just would ask, if you have a question for Bart and you're here, just come up and use the mic like a rock star and
Yeah.
ask away.
Okay.
And Bart, I did put your contact information, because he gave me a card. I put that in the chat as well,
Mhm.
so people can copy and paste that. I'll be posting chat online a little later with the video.
There's also on the radio show, don't go to the radio station right here. If you go to theartoftheceo.com, you can look through and all the shows are by category. And there's several about job getting, the entrepreneur and employee, that sort of thing. So it's another way. Does anybody have any questions? Any thoughts? Anybody have any ideas that they feel would be good to share?
Or any rotten tomatoes, I mean, anything.
Yeah, right. Right. And that's where dinner comes from.
Salad tonight.
Salad, yeah, right.
All right, Bart, well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. This has been great. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Oh, us too, and it's been very fun.
Yeah. Okay.
You turn your
Oh, that's right.
lavalier
Yeah,
off,
I
or
don't get to take that one.
otherwise I'll have a Leslie Nielsen moment.
Yeah, uh-huh. There you go.
You know, one thing I liked right away, you mentioned at the beginning, was attitude adjustment. And I think a lot of people in job search need some form of an attitude adjustment, because we think in terms, unfortunately, of what we've done historically, and we try and present that to our interviewers and hiring managers. And what we really need to think about with that attitude adjustment is, what is it you need today, and how can I solve that? So you've probably had very robust careers, all of you, and you've had some wonderful accomplishments. But if some of those tools and techniques are a little outdated, talking about them or spending a lot of time talking about them may not be as relevant for going forward. So one attitude adjustment might be, think about what hiring managers need today going forward. And I kind of like the idea of writing down your sales pitch. And one thing that does require is a little bit of self-reflection. Don't just write down the sales pitch or your 30-second introduction, the one you've been using for the past weeks or months. Think about really what your accomplishments are or your skills are that you can bring going forward, because those are the things that you go on to sell. So the fact that you have 30 years of experience and you're a robust employee, that's great. But the skills you have for the future really are what grab the the interviewer's attention when you sell yourself. So self-reflect a little bit. And other organizations that may be able to help you as an entrepreneur, you may want to look at SCORE. Princeton.score.org is the local chapter, but it's a national organization. The Small Business Development Corporation, both SCORE and SBDC offer free advice to business owners, new business owners and entrepreneurs. And you may want to look at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association for other resources that you may need help with. So those are other things as well. But that, along with the advice that Bart gave you. And if you missed any of the organizations, you could just contact Bart directly, and I'm sure he'll be happy to speak with you. So once again, thank you very much. Oh, there's one question. Good, in the back.
Hey, David, thank you.
Oops.
Can you hear me?
Well, we hear you. Press the
Yes,
button.
What's your question?
Well, it's flashing, I think the battery.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to thank Bart. I've got to do a little sales pitch here for PSG because I want to thank Bart for his second ending point. Get social is really important, and those are skills that have to be continually refined as you go and practiced. And the commercial is come to PSG in person, and we would love to have more of these chairs filled, and we're here for you. So please, if you're virtual and you have the ambition, come on down on a Friday morning and be with us.
And thank you. And don't worry, Bart isn't here every week. So don't worry about that. Yeah, Allie? Yeah, go ahead.
It's actually not a question, it's a thank you, because I think it's very hard, but to go back and, when you're out of the business for a little bit, and reinventing yourself is key, but it's good to be reminded of that. And especially the introduction of saying, comparing the COVID to what we all been through, and everyone in a different way with different challenges and at home. And I think that was very important because it gives us a different perspective on how to reinvent ourselves and going forward. So thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much.
I don't know what to do.
Oh, that's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a window over there. You got
I am.
Delegate,
This
right,
not my thing. Not one of them.
Okay. Yeah, but she held it like a rock star, so I think she knows something about it. Thank you for your comments, both of you, very much. Before we wrap up, I want to let you know what's coming in the next couple of weeks. So we will be right back here in person. We are going to be in person. We are going to be hybrid. For those of you that can't yet join us in person, Janice Coleman will be here. Janice is from the Philadelphia area. She's presented a couple times virtually. She will be here in person. I'm so happy that she's making the trip up. From your job search to dream career in 2023, 5 tips to uncovering your purpose and passion to find and sustain fulfillment at work. So wonderful coach that she is and presenter. I'm so glad that we'll get to meet her in person. And so that's next week, March 3rd. Can't believe it's March already. And then March 10th, Jeff Altman will be presenting Make Yourself Desirable to Employers. So that's very important. So it's not just selling your own skills that you've completed, but what employers are looking for as well. So that's who will be with us over the next couple of weeks. And we will have the recording posted a little later today or this evening. The chat will be there as well. Of course, there's no slide deck, which is fine. And Bart's contact information will be available as well should you wish to contact him. So once again, thank you to Bart. Thank you all of you for attending in person and virtually. Thanks to the library. And until we get to see you again next week, we'll simply say bye, everybody.